Welcome back to another episode of the Hands On Experience Podcast, where I will be hands on coaching you, educating you, and teaching you about career development, career transitions, leadership development, and accountability. All right. So today's podcast is about we're going to talk about leaders and decision making and how important it is in a leadership a leadership position to be a great decision maker. As a leader, you don't have to make the correct decision 100% of the time, but you must make the correct decision a high percentage of the time, okay? Because you have a lot of people that are counting on you and depending on you and putting their trust in you to help them be successful. So you have to make sure that you know how to make decisions and you know the process to making the right decisions, right? There's two type of people or two type of leaders. You have your maximizers and your satisfiers. Your maximizers are the leaders who strive to always make the best decision and carefully scrutinize every possible option or angle, right? Then you have your leaders that are satisfiers. And those are the ones who don't need to investigate each alternative, right? They're happy with just being good enough, okay? And if you want to be a great leader, you have to strive to be a maximizer, someone that's going to turn over every rock, all right? And look for every possible avenue and angle to make the correct decision. Okay, when you do make a bad decision, because we all make bad decisions, we are human, so that's why you can't make the correct decision 100% of the time. But when you do make a bad decision, you have to ask yourself 4 questions, right? The first one is, what was it, and what were the consequences? You know, when you sit back, think about what the decision was you made, and the consequences of that bad decision. Okay. Then you got to ask yourself, why did you make that decision? All right. Were you under pressure? Were you listening to other people that you should not have been listening to? Did you feel you were making the right decision? Right. And then you got to sit back and think about, was it worth it? That bad decision you made, was it worth it? Was it worth to make that decision? Okay. Did you think about the consequences? Right? And the last question is, what should you have done? Okay? After you make that decision, ask yourself, what should you have done to make that decision a right decision instead of a wrong decision? Okay? Because here's the thing, what people must understand, what leaders must understand, is you can become very good at making bad decisions if you don't check yourself, if you don't find out the right process on how to make the right decisions and how to make good decisions. You can become very bad very quickly or very good very quickly in making bad decisions, okay? And again, like I said, we've all made bad decisions. Some intentionally, some unintentionally. You know, if you really want to dig deep and think about it, you know, we've all been in that situation. Okay. So here's the thing. How do we become good decision makers? Right? How do we become good decision makers? It is a process. It's a process that you have to sit down with yourself or with someone else, with a coach, to help you figure out that process. And that process has to be a part of your everyday makeup, your everyday schedule. Everything you do each day, you have to have a process of how you're going to make the right decisions, because each and every day, all day, you're having to make decisions. Okay. And being a good decision maker is a learned skill that's going to dictate the path of your leadership. Okay. Do you get to that next level of leadership? All right. Or do you get demoted and fall to a lower level of leadership because of the decisions you made? So you can become a good decision maker, but you have to take yourself through the process. And the first thing that you have to do is you have to explore the details. Okay? What does that mean? That means weighing the pros and the cons. All right? And here's 6 things that you have to do when exploring those details. The first one is when it comes to making that decision is why do you want to do this, and is this in my best interest? When you're sitting down and you're pondering that decision and you've made up your mind, why do I want to do this, and is this in my best interest? Okay. Next is what is motivating this decision? The decision that you're pondering, what is motivating that decision? Okay. You got to ask yourself, is it peer pressure? Is it right versus popular? You got to find out these things to get to the bottom of why you want to make that decision. This is called exploring the details. This is the first part of that process of becoming a great decision maker. Then you got to ask yourself, what are my options? When I make this decision, what are the other options I can choose from? Then there may be a number of different things that you could do, that you could pick from to help you make that decision, right? Then you got to ask yourself, what is the risk versus the reward? Okay. When we make decisions, it's always a risk. You're risking whether you're going to increase sales or decrease sales. You're risking whether you're going to help an employee, a team member become happy, or cause a team member to be sad. So every decision you make, there is a risk and reward. So you got to figure out what the risk is, and then figure out what the reward would be. Okay. And then the next part of exploring the details is, how is it going to affect others? How is the decision that you're going to make going to affect others? Whether it's your team members, your peers, people above you that you have to answer to, your customers, clients. How is that decision going to affect others? Okay. The second part of the process of being a good decision maker is becoming informed. You must become informed. And what do I mean by that? Have you spoken to others about this choice? Okay. Your peers, someone above you, so they can give you some insight on their experiences with this type of decision. Also, as far as becoming informed, you got to look inside yourself, look within. A lot of things start within. Okay. And have you had any experience to reflect on this decision? You got to sit back and look out all the things you've been through and experiences you've had throughout your life, and see if you've been through an experience that can help you reflect on the decision that you're getting ready to make, right? And the other part of becoming informed is you got to explore more to make a wise choice. You got to do much more research on the decision that you're about to make, the consequences, and all the things that entails that decision. You got to just do a little more exploring, dig deep, find out if that's the best decision, as far as why you're making that decision. Okay. Now, the next thing you have to do, next part of becoming a good decision maker, a great decision maker, is evaluating the consequences, right? You don't want to make spontaneous decisions because of instant gratification. Okay. Now, how do we prevent this? By evaluating the consequences. You got to think ahead beyond the moment. You got to think beyond that exact moment of you making that decision. Okay. And understanding and making a list of the different things that could happen that are great and the things that may not happen great, the bad things. You got to make a list of both. But you got to evaluate those consequences, okay, by thinking ahead and beyond the moment that you're in. You got to understand and ask yourself, what will the results of this decision actually be? Okay, if you have enough experience in your leadership role and the job duties that you have, enough experience understanding the people that you're with and what you're trying to accomplish, you on this last question, you can understand what those results of that decision will actually be. All right. So but you have to ask yourself, what will the results be? When I make this decision. Okay, you got to get clarity on that. All right, got to get clarity. Okay. Now here's the next part of being a great decision maker. All right, or becoming a great decision maker. You got to recognize that you can change the course. Okay. Just because you've made bad decisions and they didn't turn out does not mean you can't change and turn around to become a great decision maker. You have to take it upon yourself, again, to get a coach, to get someone to help you. All right. And you got to recognize that, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the day. As long as you're passionate about what you're doing, as long as you're passionate about being a great decision maker as a leader, then you can change the course and become a better decision maker. So now, after you make a poor decision, after you make a bad decision, these are 5 things that you must do. All right. The first one is you have to take responsibility and own it. You can't have any excuses. You can't make excuses. You got to say, you know what? That was wrong. I didn't do enough research. I didn't talk to enough people. Whatever it may be, but you have to own the responsibility that you made that bad decision, and it's on you and no one else. Okay? And taking ownership will get you respect not only from your team members, but from your peers and upper level manage the people that are above you. When you take ownership, it shows that you really care and you understand and you are trying to do the right things. Okay? You have to consider a learning experience, right? Don't beat yourself up when you make a bad decision. Don't beat yourself up. Don't think it's the end of the world. It is a learning experience. You got to break it down, just like I've been talking about, and find out why you made that decision. Find out what the risk versus the rewards. All right. Was it peer pressure? Okay. Did you have bad information that you went with without doing more research? Okay. But don't beat yourself up. Consider it a learning experience and take it as a lesson. Okay. Now, then you have to spit it out, Reg. Then you have to rethink your options. Okay. After you make that bad decision, that poor decision, you have to rethink what your options were. Did you have more options that you could have chosen from? Right? So you have to rethink the options. The next is start over. Okay? Start over. All right? The decision has been made. It was a bad decision. You learned from it. Now you take all those lessons that you learned through the process and you start over. Start over working on becoming a great decision maker. Okay? And the last part of what to do after making a bad decision is don't repeat it. If you make another mistake, let it be a new one. If you make another bad decision, let it be a new one. Don't make a bad decision from doing the same thing you've done before. Okay? So that's how you have to recognize that you can change the course and become a great decision maker. All right? Now, here's the thing about making decisions, and not only just a leadership position, but just in anything in life. We always, when we make a decision, one of the first things that goes through everyone's minds is, will they really care? Who cares? What are they going to think? What are they going to say? How are they going to look at me? Right? People have a need to fit into the social structure of the world. Okay? They are subconsciously wired like this. And it's just by all the things from the social media, the news media, what people are saying around them and what they're hearing. And so you're subconsciously wired to try to fit in a social structure in this world. And almost any decision people make runs through some type of hypothetical they in their minds because they're wondering what they are going to think. How are they going to feel? And that they could be your team members, that they could be your peers, that they could be upper management, that they could be your customers, that they could just be people that know you and know a lot about you. Now, here's the thing about when it comes to will they, quotation marks, really care? You have to have offensive thinking. All right. You have offensive versus defensive thinking. That's the strategy that you have to look at, and you have to be an offensive thinker. Okay, and that means believing in yourself and understanding that if you're doing the right thing, you're making the right decisions, and you're going by the correct processes. Doesn't matter what they think, whoever they are. You know, if you're not doing those things, then you're going to wonder about what they think. You're going to wonder about how much they care. And that's defensive thinking. You don't want to be a defensive thinker because that means you're not doing the homework and you're not doing all the right things to make the proper decisions. If you're doing the homework, going through the process to make the right decisions, and you really care about the people that you're making decisions for, then be an offensive thinker, okay? All right? Know that they're going to believe in you. Know that they're going to trust in you, all right? Know that they're going to go with what you say, all right? And on what should be done or not done, okay? So be an offensive thinker instead of a defensive thinker. Do your homework. Do your homework when making decisions, all right? Now, again, when it comes down to that, will they really care? In most cases, this is a phantom worry. Again, if you're doing the right things, if you're going through the processes of making the correct decision or making the best decision possible, they is a phantom. All right, because if you know your team, you know the people you work with, you know the people you're around, they know you as well. So when it comes to they, a lot of time it's a phantom worry. Okay. The thing about it, most times, again, if you're a great leader and your people believe in you, they're not thinking about that. They're just anxious for you to give them that direction and make those decisions that's going to make them successful. Okay? So you have to challenge your assumption of they and whether they're real or not in terms of that they and what they think or whether they care or not and all those kind of things. Because most of the time, again, it's just a phantom thought. If you are a great leader, if you are making the right decisions, your people will understand sometimes the decisions you make will not be the right decision. But they know, if they know you and know you're a good leader and they trust you, they'll know it's coming from your heart, and then they'll be ready to readjust and help you the next time around when it comes to making the right decision. Okay? Now, when you're in a leadership position, you have a lot of responsibilities, and sometimes you feel alone. You feel like, you feel like you're at the top of the mountain, but you feel like everything that happens falls on your shoulders, and it does. But if you have a great relationship with your team, great relationship with your peers, when it comes to making these decisions, you're not alone if you use them. And that is what's going to help you build more trust. That's what's going to help you to be able to make the right decisions. Because if you're a leader and you're always trying to make the decisions by yourself, you're isolating your people, you're isolating yourself, and you giving yourself more of a chance to make the wrong decision because you're not getting the help from your team that you really need. If I'm making the decision and I'm a leader and I go to my team members and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about. I'm trying to make this decision and I need some options from you guys. Give me some options on what you think about this decision I'm trying to make. You go to your peers. When you do that, you're building trust. You're building equity in them so they can feel like, okay, you're trying to do things that's in the best interest of them, the team, the company, the organization, and everyone around you. So don't try to make decisions alone. Get help, okay? And also, I say this on every podcast, every show, is get a coach, okay? Get a coach to help you. Get a coach to help you learn how to go through the process of making the right decisions. Okay, when you're in a leadership position, you want people to believe in you. You want them to trust in you, to know that you're going to make the right decisions in their best interest. Okay, so don't be afraid to get a coach. A coach is someone that can hold you accountable to the things that you want to do, try to do, the decisions that you want to make to be successful. So do not be afraid to get a coach to help you figure out the best way to make a decision. Okay? And here's the other thing too. If your team member and your peers know that you have a coach that's helping you, that's holding you accountable, they're going to respect you on an even higher level, right? They're going to respect you on a higher level because they know that you're trying to be the best you can be, and that's the reason you have a coach, okay? Now, that's a wrap for this episode. I hope it brought you a lot of great value. Please, when you listen, subscribe and share it to people that you think it can add value to. And again, I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. That's why I call it the Hands-On Experience Podcast, because I love being hands-on, working with my clients and helping them be the best leaders they can be, helping them get through career transitions, and helping them hold themselves accountable for the things they want to accomplish in their professional career and their personal life. Okay? So have a great week, and I look forward to talking with you again next week and bringing you some more of my experiences, my personal experiences with the Hands-On Experience Podcast. All right? Again, I'm not hard to find, like Deion Sanders says. Prime Time says, I'm not hard to find. I'm not. You can reach me at reggie.hanson@hansoncoaching.com. You can go to my website, hansoncoaching.com, set up a free consultation, and you can see all my programs and what I have to offer. And I would love the opportunity to help you. That's what I'm in the business in, helping people help themselves. And one of my favorite quotes is, you hold the pen to your life story. No matter what it is, you're in control. And my job is to help you get in control and stay in control. All right? Have a great week, and I'll see you next week.